PYT is one of the best songs on Michael Jackson's Thriller, but it was originally very different. The original version is slower, has completely different words, and the newer version sounds eerily similar to another song. In the process of updating this song, did Michael Jackson rip off somebody else? Today we're diving into the original version of PYT, the story behind it, how the version we know came to be, finding the striking resemblance between the record version and another song, and then mixing it all up at the end. So the story goes like this. Quincy and Michael were working on Thriller, and Quincy's wife, Peggy Lipton, had some lingerie with the words "Pretty Young Thing" on it. Quincy thought this was a clever line, and he decided, you know what, I think there's something there. There's gotta be a song. So they had multiple songwriters working on this album, so he sent it out to them and said, "Pretty Young Thing, PYT, let's make something out of that." And multiple people got to work making a song called PYT. So Greg Phillinganes, who is an incredible keyboard player and has worked with so many people, he's also all over Thriller. He pairs off with Michael, and they come up with a song that they call PYT, Pretty Young Thing, that sounds like this. I like those lush chords that the vocals are singing. And it's interesting because it's still Greg Phillinganes, so it still sounds like it's on Thriller. That synth bass, the chords happening in there, the chords with the vocals. It sounds like it belongs on Thriller, but it's not the PYT that we know and love. And even though it sounds like it should go on Thriller, this was not what Quincy Jones was looking for. He wanted something faster, something with a little more tenderoni, you might say. This demo version has been released in a few different collections, including the Thriller 40 album, which just recently came out, but also in the Thriller 25 as a will.i.am remix. For my money, I prefer the original version better because that sounds a lot like 2008, which is when it came out. It's just, I don't know, something more classic sounding about this and something much more, I don't know. You've heard my vault analogy, right? Where something gets big and then we kind of get tired of it and then we put it in the vault. This is, even though this remix was not that big, the sound, it sounds like 2008. And that sound, that will.i.am sound, this is will.i.am at his peak. That sound, I feel like, is in the vault. And for me, I just prefer the sound of the Thriller album, even though this didn't actually make the album. I want to give a quick thank you to Flexispot for sponsoring this video. This table in front of me, it's a Flexispot desk. You can see the turntables right now, right? But check this out. Get out of here. Get out, turntables. It's motorized so I can go to a variety of heights. It's super sturdy. I mean, come back. I'll bring you back. They sent me this last year, and it's been my table ever since, but they just recently sent me their E6 standing desk, which I use for editing, and this thing is a beast. Both of these. The dual motors can lift up to 355 pounds and withstand an impact of that weight over 20,000 times. Easy there, big fellas. Hey, whoa, hey! Can you imagine if this was the angle I was working with? Like, I'm not gonna do that, but this desk goes so high. The frame and motor have a 15-year warranty. This thing glides up and down so smoothly. The bamboo top looks amazing and classes up my whole setup. On the control panel, you can adjust the height and save heights for various things like standing, sitting, or in my case, editing or DJing. Back to position 1, here we go. Like magic. So thank you, Flexispot. These are desks that I actually use on a daily basis. For more info, click the link in the description. Now, there is, of course, another version of PYT, which is the main version that ended up on the record. Because, as you'll remember, Quincy Jones set this prompt, hey, make something with Pretty Young Thing, out to multiple songwriters. One of those songwriters was James Ingram. James brought him a version of PYT, which is basically the version that we know today. Quincy loved it. He said, hey, go home and finish this, add a few more words. And then Quincy also added a few tweaks like, hey, let's add a chant section, let's add a few other things. So officially, this song is co-written by James Ingram and Quincy Jones. And here, of course, is the record version of PYT. Of course, completely different song. But this is strikingly similar to another song. Now, Michael Jackson has been accused of song theft before. I've made multiple videos sort of diving into this and dissecting it, trying to see if there's any merit there. But this situation, this one's a little bit different. There's of course the story of Hall & Oates' I Can't Go For That, and the Billie Jean bass line being similar. It's a Donna Summer song that's similar. The bass lines to Give It To Me Baby by Rick James and Thriller are kind of similar. But this one, well, let me just pull the bass out and show you what I mean. So this bass line on the verse, it starts like this. Right? We're basically going up diatonically up a B minor. Diatonically just means the notes that you would expect for the scale. Right? Our second half is dips a little lower, walks back up. And by itself, that's a great line. You might not immediately think that that is ripped off from something. But in looking at the credits, we got Louis Johnson on bass. Of course, he's playing electric. There's also synth bass on there. Greg Fillinganes. And one of the synth players is also one of the people who helped write the song, James Ingram. And James Ingram, just a few years before, had also contributed keys to another song that's pretty similar. So let me play the bass line for you first, adjusted to be in the same key. You tell me if you think they're similar, and then I'll tell you what the song is. Okay, notice the similarity. Here's PYT. Here's our mystery song. The first parts of those lines are almost identical. And I'm confusing them now, they're so similar. But then the second half, PYT resolves back to that minor chord. And our mystery song resolves to the relative major. Have you guessed the song yet? She's a bad mama jamma. That is, of course, Bad Mama Jamma by Carl Carlton from 1981, which predates Thriller. Now, is PYT a ripoff of Bad Mama Jamma? No, not at all. Bad Mama Jamma is the same vamp the whole time. Of course, there's variations on that, but on PYT, you get whole other sections like not to mention the bridge. Ba-wow! Oh. Beat after me. However, was James Ingram probably very inspired by this Carl Carlton song, which he had just worked on? Yeah, absolutely. I've talked about this before, but that's the nature of inspiration. You hear something you like, you process it, you change it a little bit in your own way, and then what comes out of that is your own new version of a thing. This is true and has been true forever. In Western music, we only have 12 notes that we're working with. There's only so much you can do. And yeah, so James Ingram was on a session, playing Bad Mama Jamma, laying it down on the keys. Super funky. Love that song. Sometime later, he meets up with Quincy, who says, hey, I got a song idea for you. Pretty young thing. Of course, some of that Bad Mama Jamma influence is going to come in there. But what comes out is brand new. The only thing left to do is mash it all up.
Where did you come from, baby? And ooh, won't you take me there? Got a way, won't you, baby? In the morning, you got to be spontaneous, just sugar fly with me. Don't you know now is the perfect time? We can make it right in the city lights. In the night, he's the love and pain. Let me take it to the max. I want to love you, pretty young thing. You need some loving, to the loving fair, and I'll take it there, girl. I want to love you.
The story of PYT is the story of two competing versions of the same song. The slower, mellower Greg Fillinganes and Michael version versus the more upbeat James Ingram, Bad Mama Jamma version. But of course, Thriller was a massive album that involved not only a ton of songwriters, but a ton of musicians as well. And there is another song on Thriller that got on there not by asking multiple songwriters to write something, but by complete accident. But for that story, you gotta watch this video.